Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wargames Podcast number 26. So with me tonight, going to be kind of the usual suspects. We got Lobster here, and I believe Locke is going to be joining us shortly after stuffing some food in his face.
Heyo.
Good evening, Lobster.
I'm on time.
He was a minute before start time. Okay, let's not get excited too much. So tonight, got a few things I want to talk about. As you guys are watching right now, obviously we are going to be talking about Far Cry 5 as it did come out Tuesday. I've been playing quite a bit of it and having a lot of fun, but I'll go over my thoughts of it and stuff in a little bit. Firstly, as per usual, we're going to go over ArmA. So last weekend we had Task Force Charlie and Task Force Bravo's operations for Phase 1 of Operation Thunderstorm. Task Force Charlie, I was Task Force Commanding, and then Task Force Bravo, I was Zeusing. Loster, were you there for Task Force Charlie? Did you get a fill-in spot?
I was not able to participate at all this weekend.
Okay,
because moving from one apartment to another and was completely preoccupied.
Oh, awesome. Because I know you were there for Task Force Bravo, but yeah, like I said, I couldn't remember if you had got a fill-in spot for Task Force Charlie or not, because I know Redmond was my mic.
I've missed Bravo too. Like I literally.
I thought you were there for Bravo.
No, my entire Sunday was lifting, moving, just
all
awesome. Sunday till like 11 in the morning. Not even joking.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go over. You should get, damn it. So let's go over Task Force Charlie first. So our objective was basically just to push south of where Task Force Alpha had left off. If you guys remember the TFA stream, we were in that very large kind of rundown military complex, if you will. And so Task Force Charlie was sent south basically to set up a blocking position so that enemy forces couldn't flank friendly elements from the south. So air assaulted in and got moving south and fairly quickly got eyes on fixed enemy emplacements and so on. As soon as we seen that, pretty much started setting up Havoc 4 to send out fire missions on it. And if you guys seen the stream, you know, there was an issue with it taking a little bit too long and so on. But it eventually got done. And from what I understand, they did actually hit some infantry that were moving in between two of the emplacements. Then we obviously continued to push up. And at one point, right before we got to the hilltop, or one of the hilltops we were going to be at, which was actually more of a small fucking mountain. I mean, it was a massive hill. We were down in this valley, and I was like yelling at Havoc 4 to get these fucking mortars out, because Havoc 3 was engaged pretty heavily, and we were sending out a fire mission, and as soon as that fire mission hit, then we were going to push up the hill. So once the rounds finally got out and we started pushing up, the very difficult thing about how that entire area was kind of laid out, the hilltop and everything, there was a lot of rocks, and they were almost like a maze, in the sense that as we were moving up there, you could hear gunshots from like the opposite side of the rocks and stuff, but with the way it was echoing and shit like that, like it was very difficult to pinpoint exactly where the shots were coming from. Generally, I'm pretty good about, you know, I can hear a shot and know exactly where it's at, like down to almost an exact bearing. But up in those rocks, it was really difficult to know exactly where the shots were coming from. And it kind of threw me through a loop, and we're almost running in circles a little bit, trying to find these guys that are, you know, running around in between these rocks and shit. So we were able to push up to the top of the hill there and get it all cleared out. And once we got up to the top of that hill and kind of set up, I looked down to the southwest, it would have been, and there was a kind of a enemy checkpoint set up there, and we were pretty exposed to them. So we immediately began engaging. I started chucking 40 mics down into this fucking checkpoint like it was going out of style. And elements of Havoc 3 started hitting it kind of from the northeast, I guess, and started breaching in. Now, by the time they started breaching in, we'd already eliminated a lot of what was in the checkpoint. However, I look on the other side of the checkpoint, there was one of those like long brown barns, and I look on the other side, and what the reason I did, or what caught my attention, is I heard mortar tubes firing. And that immediately like scared the shit out of me because I was close enough to hear them going off, and I look from the direction where the sound came from, and sure as shit, here is a mortar pit, like just on the other side of the roadblock from me, maybe 200 meters away. And I could just barely make out the sandbags and one mortar tube. I figured there was more than one tube sitting back there. So I immediately started chucking 40 mics back there, and then got on the radio with Havoc 3 Platoon HQ and told them, you know, hey, go fucking get that shit cleared out. But I know I hit at least a couple of guys back there with 40 mics because I know they landed right on top of them. I would actually like to watch Drum's video of that and see how many guys were back there and how many I actually hit, because I know there was at least a couple of them that fucking had 40 mic for dinner that night. Or I guess it would have been breakfast because it was early morning. But once Havoc 3, I should say, moved into that kind of roadblock and cleared it out, then by that point we were set up full 360 degree posture. And then that's when all the shit started getting sent at us. There was a lot that Drum was throwing at us, trying to make it a challenge, but with the position that we were in, we had such good elevation advantage and just great eyes out pretty much all around us. It would have been pretty much impossible outside of just nonstop shelling us. It would have been impossible to make us move off of that hilltop. It was way too commanding of a position. To the point that he had messaged me during the, like towards the end of the operation, because we had already taken out, I mean, a fuck ton of infantry, a bunch of vehicles, and he had messaged me, he's like, that's pretty much it. He's like, do you want me to send more, or you want to call it now? I know it's been kind of a short mission. And I told him, yeah, you know, go ahead and send some more at us. Like, we haven't really done much of anything yet. So he sent a whole nother counterattack of multiple vehicles, infantry, stuff like that. And it still didn't really do much of anything. I suspect we probably took out, I would say, close to a battalion worth of infantry Saturday night, and I don't know, maybe 10 or so vehicles between gun trucks and light armor and medium armor and stuff like that. You know, it wasn't all like tanks and BMPs and stuff that we took out. There was, you know, smaller vehicles and shit like that. But yeah, it was a pretty ridiculous amount of enemies that, you know, Drum had to throw at us. And like I said, still wasn't able to make it too much of a challenge. The only real kind of iffy part, I guess, was there was one point where elements of Havoc 3 were set up in that roadblock, and there was a Tigris, I think it was, that rolled pretty much right up to the roadblock and started firing into it, and it detonated a bunch of vehicles that were sitting in there. I mean, it was a shit show. Me and Redmond went running down in there, but there was a fuck ton of cook-off, and I stayed back and told them, hey, you know, get in there and pull somebody out if you can. I'll hang back here. If you go down, I'll come in there and get you. But somehow there was only one person that had went down from it, and they were able to pull him out, which was pretty impressive. But that was the only real, I guess, dangerous point that we had, was that vehicle rolling right up on top of them, and then they pulled back up into the rocks where I was at on top of the hill. But again, that wasn't anything where like Drum just wasn't sending enough at us, or anything like that. It was just the position we had was just so goddamn good. There was nothing he could do about it. Absolutely nothing. Like I said, aside from just nonstop shelling us, he couldn't have made it difficult just by sending infantry and vehicles. I mean, he did send one helicopter, two helicopters, and one got shot down. The other one, he ended up RTBing it, I think to rearm or something like that, back to the airfield. But our air assets couldn't take it down because the sidewinders kept missing, thanks to countermeasures and them just being wonky. But air assets couldn't take it down. I had given the clearance to have 3-4 hit it with a javelin, but it was moving so fast the jav gunner couldn't get a tone on it. And it never ended up coming back around after that point. After 3-4 wasn't able to get tone, it RTB'd from there. It never came back around. So we didn't get I should say they didn't get a chance to shoot down a helicopter with a javelin. So sucks for them. But as I said, we sat up there, drum sent, basically 2 counterattacks at us and wasn't able to really do anything. And again, it wasn't only our position. I mean, Havoc 3 did very well Saturday night. They did a great job engaging everything, as well as Havoc 4 later on. Like earlier in the mission, there was the issue with not getting the rounds out in time, but later on, they were able to get rounds out on target pretty quickly. But yeah, there wasn't really much that could be done to make the mission any more difficult than it was. And that's something that happens sometimes. There's times where us as Zeus, there's just absolutely nothing we can do to make the mission difficult. We don't have, or I should say, the AI don't have the fucking ability to be smart enough to make it more difficult. So that was pretty much it for Task Force Charlie. I mean, it was nothing real special or anything like that. We just moved in, set up in a blocking position, and held that T intersection down. And again, that was purely as a support to Task Force Bravo. Myself and Hammer had planned it out ahead of time. Like, hey, I'll take Charlie and push down here to the south, cover your guys' southern flank, so you're not getting hit with vehicles and shit coming up this road behind you guys while you're moving to the radio tower. So we kind of blocked that off, so Task Force Bravo wasn't getting flanked. Now, moving on from Charlie going to Bravo, where again I was Zeusing, Task Force Bravo's objective was to take the radio transmission tower and then to take the airfield, which everybody knows airfields, those are the fucking difficult missions. So setting up the mission, I should say, the radio tower wasn't that heavily defended. For me, I didn't bother putting a ton of guys there because it made more sense that they would have pulled back to the airfield to help defend that. There was a garrison of, a few troops in and around the area and a couple of little vehicles, a gun truck and shit like that, but nothing too extreme. So Bravo air assaulted in, basically moved damn near right through where Task Force Alpha had left off and continued pushing east towards the airfield. Now, anybody that watched it, or anybody that was there especially, everybody knows what went down with the artillery. There was a little mishap for us as Zeus that we had sent a couple rounds of artillery from D-30s at them, and then we had sent one volley from the BM-21 Grad missile trucks at them. And then I went to have Burke send another volley of BM-21s behind them, and he had put it too close. He did put it behind their position, but he didn't really understand how large the area that those rockets cover. So a lot of the rockets ended up landing right on top of the fucking task force because those things fire 40 rockets out of there, and it immediately downed like half of the task force immediately, and KIA'd like 80% of those, which was not good. And I was, like I said, that was solely from a mistake on Zeus standpoint. That wasn't like Task Force Bravo did something wrong. Now, there was like a spotter that had eyes on him and shit like that, but still, that was purely from Zeus' mistake. But the thing that is, to me, more noteworthy, the fact that it almost had no effect on Task Force Bravo. Like, I am genuinely impressed with how those guys were able to fucking rebound from that. Okay, so to give you guys some perspective here, Task Force gets in, air assault, start moving, have artillery land behind them. They keep pushing forward to get out of the kill zone. They get hit with fucking 40, 120 millimeter rockets, right? Half the ground element of the task force goes down. Almost all of those go KIA. In that one shot, they lose the task force commander, one half of platoon HQ, half of their fucking platoon, all in one shot. They still pushed. Like, they still had infantry coming at them from the southeast. They eliminated those, and 2-1 specifically continued to push to the radio tower, set up, cleared that, got a foothold in there, and held that position until the rest of the task force was able to kind of regroup and get up there. It blew my fucking mind that they pushed up there solo, cleared that fucking place out, and no issues. So the reinserts get reinserted into the AO, catch up to who was still on the ground, and then they begin pushing to the airfield. Now, the airfield, obviously, very heavily defended. We had a fuck ton of troops on the HESCOs. We had a bunch of vehicles lined up along there. I had a ton of AAA. There was 6 Tunguskas, 3 Shilkas, 3 or 4 ZU-23 cannons, and a bunch of Igla troops walking around. So it was very heavily defended as far as AA goes. So air assets couldn't do a whole lot at the start. They had to kind of pick things off here and there. And I believe Warlord actually ended up getting shot down by one of the Tunguska's missiles. And I know Thunder took a couple of locks, and I believe he also took one hit from a missile. Obviously, he didn't go down, but he did end up taking a hit, I believe. So Task Force Bravo continued pushing, as I said, towards the airfield. And, I mean, by the time they were, really pushing on the airfield, the entire time I was like, I can't believe how good of a job these guys are doing. Like, they had half their task force KIA'd, and it's like nothing even happened to them. They're still pushing. They're eliminating shit left and right. Like, they're not having any fucking problems. I can't believe this is actually happening right now. And Loster, you said you were doing shit, right? So you weren't even able to watch the stream. Okay, good talk, Loster. And Aaron, I'm not fucking clairvoyant, man. I can't pull you into the channel when I have no clue as to where you are. So Task Force Bravo started pushing on the airfield. As I said, started engaging all the shit that was basically had a defensive line set up all along this fence, along with HESCOs and stuff like that, and a bunch of vehicles. Now, I know they were getting engaged by AGS-30s, like left and right. Those AGS-30s, incredibly fucking dangerous. Like, they are insanely dangerous. There's a reason I always liked, gunning on the Mark 19 trucks. Those fully automatic grenade launchers are nuts. But I was actually talking to Williams about this the other night. We were talking on Steam, and he was saying, you know, that he couldn't believe how accurate I am with the AGS 30s and, you know, shit like that. And I told him the fucked up thing is, if I was less accurate with those things, they would actually be more dangerous, because I do go out of my way with the AGS 30 to miss a lot of the rounds and just kind of pepper rounds around people. And as I told him, my goal with the AGS 30 is more so fear than death, which worked pretty well with Task Force Bravo. Again, I was able to put a lot of rounds around people. I know, obviously, people are still going to get wounded from like splash damage and shit like that, but they could be a lot more effective if I wanted them to be. But I personally think it's cooler to have the rounds landing all around you, or like right in front of you, and then you got to run through the, you know, where those rounds just went off. I always thought that looked really cool. Like if I'm in the mission, it looks cool to have those AGS 30 rounds going off, you know, 20 meters on either side of me and in front of me and behind me, and just pure fucking chaos. Okay, A rounds in War Room. Hold on a second here. There's the Bollinger. Or not. Every person I go to talk to tonight just decides to not respond to me, so I see how it is. So I succeeded with the fear. Well, good. That's what I was going for. The
Sorry, I had to switch back to TeamSpeak from watching Twitch. I am
Oh,
on
there
my
he is.
phone.
Oh, are you working right now?
That's an A-firm.
Ah, okay. So Aaron's out on the road and talking to us, which is probably ill-advised.
Hey, I'm in a parking lot. It's fine.
Oh, okay. You're parked up right now?
Yep, sure I am.
So I know you were obviously with 2-1 Sunday night, because that's, you know, what you're or who you're billeted with now. You know, and I had already talked about you guys pushing up to the radio tower and taking that. When you, I guess, first got eyes on the airfield, as like the task force as a whole was ready to push, what were your thoughts when you first seen that airfield and seen all of those vehicles and shit that were out there?
So one of the first things that we spotted were the triplet of Shulkas, and as soon as I got eyes on those and I was calling them up, the first thought that ran through my mind was, you know, there were, you know, aircraft and, you know, other armor pieces, and I believe my exact quote was, "There's all kinds of shit out there."
Right. I would say that's pretty accurate. And now we are also joined by the Lock. Hello, Lock.
Huh?
Hello, Loster. Hello, Brewer.
Lock, did you fill in Saturday or Sunday?
I did, yep. I was under Bollinger on Sunday.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
It's like 7 feet tall. We're all under Bollinger. trust me.
Right. Lock, what were your first thoughts when you seen that airfield and seen all the shit that was out there?
We had our work cut out for us. There was a lot of shit at that airfield. Yeah, there was a ton of shit. BMPs, Shilkas, yeah, all sorts of things.
Yeah, so I was right before you got in here, and right before I pulled Aaron in, I was talking about all of the AGS 30s that were engaging you guys, because we had multiple gun trucks down there with AGS 30s, and then I also had the fixed AGS 30s, the mounted ones, sitting like on top of the bunkers, because that faction like doesn't have any standing turrets, so that's why the turrets were sitting on top of the bunkers, because they don't have any that were standing. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just stick them on top of it. So I was talking about how with those AGS 30s, they're obviously very devastating, but they would actually be a lot more dangerous if I was less accurate with them. Like if I didn't know what I was doing with them so much, they would be a lot more dangerous, because you guys would end up with like 20 fucking grenades right on top of you. But like as you guys were moving east, kind of across those open fields and shit, and there was grenades going off all over from the AGS 30s. What was your thoughts in that situation, both Locke and Bollinger? What was your guys' thoughts as you're like crossing that field, with grenades going off all over?
Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, as the 2-1 Bravo team lead, I was getting yelled at to push east and north across that field, and basically just keep tossing smoke and keep pushing, and to keep the teams moving. It was definitely, I guess you could equate it to like a Normandy Beach type field,
Right.
type feel, but in reverse. We're pushing down the slope instead of up it, but shit is just exploding, left and right and all around you, and you just kind of have to keep running and hope you don't get schwacked.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that was my feeling too. Just, hope for the best. If we can't
Right.
take it out right now, just keep running forward.
Right, just
Spread the fuck out.
yep,
and,
just close the gap.
Yep, pretty much.
And that's actually because I've had people ask before, like, well, when you guys come under fire like that, like you get heavily engaged, why do you always push forward? Like, why would you want to get closer to the guys shooting at you? In a situation like that, especially when the enemy's in a fixed position, obviously they're not going to move. They already have your position dialed in. If they're engaging you, like for instance with an AGS 30, then they already have your position fixed. You need to move. You don't want to pull back generally, because then you have to re-engage from somewhere else. You're losing ground. If you can't move side to side because you have other elements side to side, or you're going to end up, moving fucking 2 clicks to your flank to come around, then forward is the only option. So that's why a lot of the times, you'll always hear people saying, keep moving forward, keep pushing, keep pushing. We close that gap so that we can more accurately engage, and because their cover is better than ours. Like, they had a whole line of HESCOs set up there. We get up to that line of HESCOs, we now have the cover. So that's the whole idea behind, just pushing forward. Yeah, and exactly as Taco says, you never want to have to move through an area twice. So if you start an assault and you get repelled, you don't want to assault back through the exact same area, because now they're definitely going to have all that shit pre-ranged, ready to go. So it's, push forward, get up to that cover, get a foothold, and then push in and start clearing it. Which is exactly what you guys did. You were able to eventually get pushed up to those HESCOs and push into the actual airfield itself. And again, I was talking with Williams about this the other night, and the task force basically assaulted the airfield instead of going straight west to east and just hitting the airfield head on, which would have been the bad thing to do. They circled kind of more northerly and cleared the airfield from north to south, which really, for me as Zeus, fucked me, because there was really nothing I could do to challenge that. I had no way to stop them from pushing south at that point, because I didn't have any reinforcements to bring in, and I had nothing to the north. It's a fucking ocean. I had nothing to the east. It's an ocean. So I had nothing I could do. And you guys started pushing south through the airfield with a fucking quickness. I mean, you guys were moving fast as fuck. Did it feel like that when you were in the airfield? Did it feel like you guys were moving through there very quickly? Because it definitely looked like it from Zeus.
Oh, definitely. I thought we were just flying through that thing super fast, clearing buildings efficiently, just keeping the pace up. We never got bogged down, I don't think, either.
Right.
Did we, Aaron?
No, definitely not. We were constantly pushing. I think maybe in grand total over the entire night, we sat still for maybe 5 minutes at one point, but all the rest of the time we were, hair on fire, 100 mile an hour, kind of like how Havoc 2 always is.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's, I knew I shouldn't say I knew. I wanted to try and make the mission very difficult because, it's an airfield. They're not going to give it up easily. But like I said, when they hit the airfield that way and kind of circle around to the north side, there wasn't shit I could do. There was no fences down there. And I couldn't really put up fences down there because I'd already put up all the HESCOs and shit like that. So I really couldn't block off the entirety of the airfield. If you guys would have come in, from the direct west, you would have been getting engaged from basically the entirety of the airfield at once. And they would have been able to hit you in the flanks and shit all at the same time. As we're just like Williams had said, the whole thought process behind coming in from the north was that the enemy was going to be directly in front of you. No matter if reinforcements came or whatever, they had to come directly in front of you. They couldn't flank you at that point, moving moving north to south. And he was right. I mean, it was fucking brilliant. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't get enemies to flank around to the west. It would have made no sense because Task Force Alpha would have been there to the west, stopping anything from flanking. Again, can't flank from the east or north. So the only direction any enemies could have come from is from the south, which would have just ran headlong into the fucking task force. So as you guys pushed through the airfield, like you said, you were clearing buildings very efficiently, didn't really get bogged down. Once it started getting towards the end of the operation, I guess, were you guys expecting a counterattack, like towards the end of the mission?
I wasn't really expecting much. Like you said, there was really only one way it could come from, and even from the south, there wasn't really that much real estate, and we had pretty good sight lines out to the south. We could see, easy 500-600 meters, without much defilade issues or anything like that. So a counterattack probably wouldn't have been productive from the enemy standpoint.
It wouldn't have done shit. What about you, Locke? Were you expecting a counterattack at that point? Did you want a counterattack? Did you want the mission to keep going, or were you ready to be done at that point?
No, I wanted to keep going. It was we had a good position and we were set up pretty well. So, the more shit being thrown at us is just more fun at that point. I wasn't necessarily expecting a counterattack. We just kind of got set up and prepared for whatever was going to come. Just handled it.
Right. And Ty, Liquid, regarding your question, the only pilots that were outside of their airframes were the pilots for the fast movers. The helicopter pilots were already in their helicopters the entire time. But I think one of them had gotten out at one point because he went fucking full retard mode, and then ended up getting killed while he was on the tarmac, just like standing there instead of being in his fucking helicopter, which is why only one of the helicopters took off, because the other pilot was dead. So, and I wasn't gonna like magically drag another pilot over there and then make him take off. So yeah, that's why only one helicopter went up in the air.
You can thank Yogi for that.
Yeah, probably. So again, Task Force Bravo as a whole, we had the artillery issue, which is what it is. That luckily we shouldn't have to deal with again. But for me, the more, again, like I said, the more kind of noteworthy thing was the fact that fucking task force took over 50% casualties, and it barely slowed them down. Like, I've seen task forces at full strength not be able to move that quickly through an AO, which again, impressive as fuck that they were able to do that with that many guys not even there, where they were back at the airfield getting ready to be reinserted. And as soon as they were reinserted, the entire task force just continued pushing. It's like nothing fucking happened. And it was insane to me. Did you guys feel like, I guess, that you got bogged down at the start from losing so many guys in the task force? Or, because I know, obviously you guys were the ones that continue pushing to the comms tower, did it feel like at any point in time that you guys were, 50% strength, or was it more so, I don't have time to think about this, I got a fucking job to do?
I know for myself, I got preoccupied because 2-1 Bravo had to split up there. I got sent back with Dunn, who was our CLS, to assist with that MASCAS. So him and I broke off from the rest of Bravo, went back there and tried to help the situation best we could. But when we got there, I think they had it under control for the most part. So we kind of assessed the situation and then headed back to clear out the compound, which I believe Aaron and Yogi were already in the middle of clearing out, or began clearing out.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I would think, because I think that would be kind of my mindset is, yes, we have, a lot of guys just went down, it fucking sucks, but I've got a job I have to do, and I don't have time to sit here and think, oh shit, now we're, way under strength. I've got, security I need to pick up. I have buildings I need to clear, shit like that. I'll worry about it afterwards. I think that would be my mentality of it. Basically the job comes first.
Oh, for sure. Especially if we're, being engaged from that position. The quicker you clear it out, the less trouble we're going to have, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To consolidate.
Yeah, and you guys went right into, a lot of guys did react to the MASCAS and going to try and help and stuff like that, but not the entirety of the ground element went to help with the MASCAS. And guys may think, well, that's fucking stupid, then maybe they could have saved more people. If the entirety of the ground element had pushed back to deal with that MASCAS, it would have been even worse, because then there would have been nobody securing that radio tower and engaging those threats up there that were already engaging everyone, as well as the infantry that was pushing in from the southeast. If nobody had basically stayed up front there and engaged those guys, all of those people that were wounded and all the people that were working on them would have been fucked. Like there's no way that they could have secured that area with a very tight perimeter and engaged all of those and helped all the wounded at the same time. Like there had to be someone still pushing and eliminating what was engaging them, which is a lot of the times, you'll hear us talk about when you have a lot of wounded or something like that. First and foremost, secure the fucking area. Like don't immediately start working on wounded. Secure the area first, eliminate the threat, and then you can fucking, worry about medical aid. But first you need to eliminate the threat, whatever the fuck it is that's currently engaging you, or the guys that just got wounded. Like you need to take that threat out before you start worrying about fucking aiding any wounded, which again is exactly what you guys did.
And
So-
it kind of goes to a phrase of sometimes too many hands is a hindrance more than a helper.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if you have all of those guys in one area trying to work on, a group of guys that are down, you'll get in each other's way more than you'll help each other. So keeping half the guys, up towards the front, securing that objective really just kind of kept the scene a little bit cleaner and a little bit more organized.
Yeah, definitely.
That actually happened in that particular situation a little bit because Rainey, who was our medic, said afterwards, he's like, look, if I'm working on guys, stay clear, because if you bump me or you bump the casualty, you're gonna interrupt my work. Basically, it's gonna fuck it all up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and that's exactly why we tell guys, if there's a MASCAS, stay the fuck away from it unless you're specifically asked to go aid a medic. Stay away from it. Go out fucking 20, 30 meters and set up security and just stay the hell out of the way. So yeah, Task Force Bravo as a whole, I mean, mission was a success. They were able to capture the airfield. And now we got a new airfield. And as they pretty much always say, we just took an airfield. It was pretty fucking ninja. So,
Thanks, man.
yeah. So to move on from the ArmA stuff, obviously, you guys know we have to talk about Far Cry 5. Just came out Tuesday. That's what you guys have been watching in the background here is kind of the prologue of it. I played yesterday. I streamed it yesterday for just short of 7 hours, which in and of itself should, I guess, be a testament to how much I enjoy the game if I'll sit there and stream it for 7 hours. And actually, that was the second time I had played through the prologue and a couple of the missions because I had done it the night before just to check everything out, see how it was going to work, see how it was going to look and everything like that. So, Far Cry 5. Who has it? Do any of you have it yet?
Nope.
I do not. I've just watched some streamers play it and watched you play it a little bit.
I watched you play it yesterday, yeah.
So are you guys interested in it at all, or were you interested in it? Loster, I know you had your doubts and stuff because we have talked about it before. Firstly, before actually seeing it or anything, were you guys interested in it at all?
No, not in the slightest.
I wasn't either, just because Ubisoft, I don't know, just been burnt too much in the past by a few of their things, and I was worried it was going to be more of the same. It looked interesting, and it looks beautiful, but to answer your question, yeah, I was kind of like, just kind of sketchy about it. I'm like, yeah, I'll wait till it comes out, and then we'll kind of see from there.
Right. So now, after seeing it a little bit, I've streamed it. You guys watched me stream it for a little while. Like Glover said, he's been watching me and Eli for 3 days play it. I know Eli's been streaming it, which I'm sure would be fucking hilarious. So what about now after seeing it a little bit? Has it piqued your guys' interest anymore, or is it still, I really don't care?
After watching you play I watched you for like an hour. Yeah, I want to check it out. And plus, on top of that, I looked at my friends list on Steam yesterday, and every single fucking person on it was playing Far Cry 5.
Nice.
So I guess I might as well figure out a way to get on this bandwagon so I'm not left
out. For me, it looks like a beautiful game. Like, it looks amazing. My concern is, is it going to look this good on my system? Because I don't, have as good of a graphics card, so that's a little bit of my concern. Personally,
I wouldn't be too concerned with that if I were you. It is very, very well optimized. Like, I am running it, everything on Ultra, streaming, recording the whole gig, and I'm generally running over 100 frames. There's
nice.
There's little stutters here or there, but they've only happened when I'm in multiplayer, so I think it's just kind of, to do with multiplayer stuff or co-op stuff.
I noticed when I was watching you, like when some crazy shit was happening, you kind of dropped a bit.
Yeah, it was, which I'm okay with. It's to be expected here and there.
There's like a bunch of explosions going off, and like I noticed that when you were trying to like navigate this like bombed out house, there was like flames everywhere, and I think the like rendering those kind of hurt your performance a bit. But I mean that's negligible.
Yeah, and it wasn't ever. To me, it wasn't ever to the point where it like pulled me out of the game or anything like that, where I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ, these frame drops. It's very negligible. So yeah, Locke, I wouldn't be too worried about that. Like I said, I have everything cranked up to Ultra and it handles it like a fucking champ.
Oh, nice. I was watching, I can't remember who it was, a streamer, Co-Carnage or something like that. And he was fishing, going for some achievement. He got it anyway. So he went to go turn it in. So he turns it in, and he points up in the air and he fires, or before he gets there, he fires like a rocket or something. I'm not sure what it was. Just kind of like as a fireworks type thing. And it lands just behind the girl who he's supposed to turn it into or whatever, and it blows up all over the place, starts fire. And then, so he turns it in, and he goes, and now you have to die. And he was going to shoot her, but there was fire spreading behind her. So he backs up, and as she's in the middle of talking, she sets on fire and starts rolling around on the ground. And it was just hilarious, kind of some of the dynamic stuff that happens in that game. So that my interest a little bit.
Yeah, the like it's really cool that you'll have like resistance fighters just like randomly roll by and start gunfights with with the cult or whatever that you're taking
Well,
on, and like
yeah,
the world in and of itself is constantly happening. Like it's
right,
not just set pieces built around you. There's
right.
constantly shit going on.
If you remember yesterday, I actually I pointed that out when I was like
Hmm.
chatting on your stream. Like, wow, that just happens. Like, I think that might have been maybe me like kind of turning a corner about the game. And that's exactly what I was thinking, that this world is happening around you, and it's not just waiting for you to show up for
Exactly.
something to happen in it. Which I think that was just the fact that you happen to be approaching this outpost and some like yokels happened to be like traipsing through the woods and decided to open fire on them at the same time. Like that wasn't planned. That was random. And the fact that that was random was completely awesome because it threw your entire it was a dynamic shift that changed how you were going to approach the situation. Like, oh, I don't have to. Oh, I can
Yeah, I
be
don't have to
sneaky
do
over here
shit.
now. Yeah, like that's really cool that just doesn't happen in games really, where like the parameters just randomly shift and now
Right.
your plan has to change. I think Wildlands tried to do that, but they fucking just didn't work out.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
have a
and
question though about how the NPCs move in the game. So if you're looking at a road and like a group of guys, enemies like pass by, will they keep like spawning and passing that same road? So like does it become predictable after a while, or is it completely random
no, it's
at this
just
point?
random. There's a lot of enemies on the road, which is one of the things I'll talk about in a minute as far as kind of annoying things. But no, it's not like the same truck will drive down the same road. If you just sit there for 20 minutes, you're not going to see the same two guys in a white pickup drive by every 2 minutes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's different. I don't necessarily. I can't say that it's not scripted because I don't know for sure. I guess I've never hung out in an area long enough to see if they're just doing a big loop or something. But I've never had like a deja vu situation where it's like, weren't those guys just here? The so yeah, it is very impressive visually. I seen as soon as I fired up the game, and the intro cinematic, I was like, holy shit. I mean, this is incredible looking. One of the better games I've ever seen. Uh, Now, to get into the game itself, the first thing I want to go over, okay, is kind of the biggest glaring mistake in my eyes. And again, as I told you guys before I even started playing Far Cry, I didn't really give a shit about the storyline. I know it makes absolutely no sense going into it. I don't give a shit. It was more so I want to play the co-op. I want to shoot shit. So I still want to get into the storyline a little bit because I want to talk about this. So the basic storyline for anybody that doesn't know with Far Cry 5 is you're in a certain county called Hope County, as you can see there on the screen, in Montana. Okay, so you're out in the great fucking Northwest, and essentially this religious cult has grown a huge following within the county. They've armed themselves to the teeth, and they've basically taken over this entire county. And you start off the game by you are a rookie sheriff's deputy, and you're going with your sheriff and a U.S. Marshal to serve a federal warrant to Joseph Seed, who is like the main bad guy. Okay, so as I said, you start the game, you're in the helicopter, you're flying out to this compound to serve this warrant. First thing I noticed, and when I'm sitting in the helicopter, is that the fucking GPS that is like right in front of your fucking face, basically, is just stagnant the entire time. You're not actually moving on the little screen, which I know is like very nitpicky, but it's like why bother put that screen right there in your view if you're just gonna make it a static fucking wallpaper? Like why not either A, animate it, or B, just not fucking put it there? It serves no purpose just sitting there as a wallpaper because it doesn't make the helicopter look more real. In fact, it makes it look like shit. So why bother doing that? So riding in a helicopter with a U.S. Marshal to go serve a federal warrant. This U.S. Marshal, for some reason, is completely by himself. He doesn't have a partner or anything like that. Whatever. Go there, pick the guy up, go to leave with him. Of course, the fucking cultists end up attacking you and helicopter crashes, chaos ensues, so on and so forth. Turns out the dispatch, Nancy, fucking cunt, is actually one of the cult members, so she doesn't call for help when your helicopter goes down, right? The problem I have, fuck Nancy. The problem I have is, okay, this is a U.S. Marshal serving a federal warrant. His helicopter just went down. You go through a bunch of bullshit. You know, as you guys seen, you fight your way out of a house. He ends up getting captured and shit, this and that. You wake up in some weird dude's underground bunker. He probably raped you while you were asleep. Whatever. But I want to know how Ubisoft thinks the federal government works. Because I cannot think of a situation where the U.S. Marshals would send a marshal out to serve a federal warrant to pick someone up, aside from the fact that they would just, send more than one guy. But even if they sent one guy, how would they not hear from this dude for 2 or 3 days and not send marshals out to see what the fuck is going on? Like, because they try to explain it away in the game that no signals are getting out there, the roads blocked, the towers are down, or whatever, this and that. Nobody can get word out, which makes even less sense in a little bit. But it's not a matter of getting word out. Like, they already know the U.S. Marshal is there. The U.S. Marshal's office sent him there. They already know he's in the fucking county. He's there serving a federal warrant. So how, after a couple of days of no contact with him, are they not sending someone out there to see what the fuck is going on? Like, does that make any sense to you guys? Because it doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
So that is a pretty big problem, or probably the biggest problem for me as far as the storyline goes, is it just makes absolutely no sense that the fucking marshal's office wouldn't send anybody out there to see what's going on. Now, on top of the fact that this, like, that kind of shit wouldn't be able to go down, like, this is, I have to say, at no point in time have I seen Ubisoft say that, oh, this is, supposed to be incredibly realistic, or, anything like that. It is very much so a satire, and I don't know if a lot of people understand that it's meant to be over the top as far as the characters and the comedy and stuff like that, which I found great. I actually laugh a lot playing this game, but it's still the fact that you're saying this game takes place in reality, and in reality, something like this wouldn't be able to go down. You wouldn't have some random religious cult out in Montana that has like attack helicopters and fucking machine guns and RPGs and shit like that, and would be able to take over this county without the ATF basically, kicking down their front door and saying, no, fuck off, this isn't happening. Like I've said to many people talking about this, like, I remember Waco. I know how that shit goes down. And it sure as fuck is not a religious cult fucking taking over a county. Like, they took over a building once and it went bad. Very bad. So, it just, again, problems with the story. But from the intro to the story and thinking, okay, this doesn't make any sense, then getting into the gameplay. The gameplay itself is very fun. There's some small annoying things here and there, like what you see right here. The amount of enemies on the roads is incredibly fucking annoying. It makes it very difficult to drive anywhere using the roads. And I understand that, these guys are supposed to control the county and got the roads locked down and this and that, but it's like, dude, you give us these vehicles to drive around this massive fucking map, and every 20, 30 seconds you're driving by a group of enemies who are in another vehicle who have the greatest aim on the planet when it comes to rolling in a moving vehicle and shooting with a fucking pistol. And they're able to shoot the fuck out of you inside your car because you can't lean down in the seat. You can't take cover. So they'll shoot the fuck out of you. And when you stop your vehicle and go to get out, your guy gets out of the car as slowly as humanly fucking possible. So they're able to plant more rounds into you while you're getting out of the car. That's my biggest complaint as far as the world itself is just how many enemies are on the road. I cannot stand it. It's every single time you drive somewhere, you're going to get engaged by guys in trucks or on quads or something. And it's either fucking dive off into the woods and try and lose them, or stop, lose a shit ton of health and armor, kill them, and then go on about your business. But you're going to have to go replace that armor that you just lost, buy another fucking health or med kit because you just had to use one. And to kind of touch on that real quick, and the other thing I spoke about, which was, yeah. Oh, dude, I full on lost her to fucking cow. Actually, multiple cows. But something I want to ask you guys, because you have seen it, played a little bit, and this and that. I mentioned the enemy's aim, their ability to spot and engage you at distance as well as through concealment and stuff like that is incredible. It makes ArmA look pretty fucking good as far as AI being able to shoot you through bushes and shit. These guys are badasses. But aside from, that just being plain annoying when AI is just fucking laser accurate and shit. The reason I bring this up is in game, okay, obviously there's a currency system. You have to buy shit and stuff like that, as I lost her a black bear. So there's an in-game currency. And of course, Ubisoft being Ubisoft, there's silver bars that you can buy for real money to buy shit as well, to buy guns and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't know if this is true, but it feels like when I'm playing this game, it feels like the amount of damage you take, not necessarily the amount of damage you take, but how accurate the enemy is and stuff, and able to do damage to you and take away your armor and health very quickly and cause you to go through those your consumables a lot and constantly having to go back and buy more. It feels like for me as a player that is Ubisoft's attempt basically to what's the word I'm looking for? To basically drain your cash so that if you do want a weapon or attachments or, clothes or whatever, you have to use the fucking silver bars, which I haven't done. I just grind the fuck out of the game and get the stuff I want. But that's honestly what it feels like to me as a player, is that they're trying to make me deplete my cash so that I need to buy those silver bars to use them to get shit that I may want. You guys, watching it, haven't played it, but have watched it. Have you noticed that the enemy seems incredibly accurate and you're constantly having to go through those consumables? Does it look like that from the outside, or is it just me being biased?
No, it's not just you. That was a problem with Far Cry 2. That was one of the biggest complaints with Far Cry 2. As good as a game as Far Cry 2 was, that was a problem. There was always AI on the road, always, and they're always fucking just this Chris Kyle with their fucking SMGs, and they would fucking hit you through the foliage.
Yeah, it's like the guys with the dual MAC-10s in Wildlands that are hitting you from 100 meters out.
But yeah, that was a problem. That you would, because especially Far Cry 2 was a pretty big world for its time, and and there was really not a whole lot of options for fast traveling, so you had to drive everywhere, and all the time you'd come across a dune buggy or a fucking a technical or just a pickup truck, and there's 3 guys in it, and they fucking just start lighting you up, and you're driving as fast as you can, like 60, 70 miles an hour, and they're just peppering you like 300
Yeah.
meters away.
That was another, I guess, issue with the vehicles is the top speed of your vehicle, of any land vehicle, is 50 miles an hour. And, okay, I understand you don't want guys to drive too insanely fast because there's a lot of shit going on, people on the roads and stuff like that, and, you know, whatever. So limit the speed. Okay, but whatever. I'd make it a little bit higher than 50 miles an hour, but still, when you're driving, again, this is another oversight that I don't understand how or why it happens. When you're driving a car, so you hop in a random pickup, right? You get up to like 50 miles an hour in basically second gear. And you'll hear the car, or you'll hear the truck upshift to the next gear, and the speed remains the exact same. It stays at 50 miles an hour for 2 gears. Like, each truck somehow has like 5 fucking gears in it for, you know, a basic automatic transmission, which is kind of weird considering the trucks that they are. Anyways, so it'll get all the way up to 5th gear, and it'll continue only doing 50 mile an hour. I'm like, I'm not sure Ubisoft understands how a car works, because you don't move to a higher gear in the transmission and continue doing the same speed if you have the same exact throttle position. Like that's not how it works, you know? So that was annoying to me. But yeah, the big problem with me as far as the roads is the amount of enemies that's on them. It's just ridiculous. And that's why, as I was saying in the stream, oftentimes I prefer to just fucking travel on foot, because I can just run through the woods rather than having to drive on the road. The plus side being, pretty much every location you discover, every, you know, house you go to, barn, fucking whatever, any type of semi-permanent structure that you visit gets turned into a fast travel point, which is nice. I mean, you can fast travel everywhere. And it is really nice because this map is huge, and I personally don't want to spend half of my time playing the game driving across the goddamn map. So that's really nice as far as the amount of fast travel points you have. Although this morning when me and Yogi were playing together, we were having an issue where every single time we fast traveled, it would crash the game for me. Like, it would kick me out of his party and kick me back to the main menu. So that was very weird. But that takes me on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is the co-op aspect of it. For anybody that doesn't know, Far Cry 5 does feature 2-player co-op. So that I was very excited for. Like, I could not wait to play 2-player co-op. And myself and Shank were able to play for a little while together, and it was very fun being able to have a second person there. And we did one mission where we were down inside of this fucking bunker, and we were having to be all stealthy and shit, and, you know, sneak up on guys and knock them out and this and that. But very cool. However, kind of the downside, I guess, of the co-op is that only the party host is able to advance their storyline in the co-op, which is very weird to me because, you know, they did Wildlands where it was drop in, drop out co-op, and it advanced the story for you as well. And I'm not quite sure why they didn't do the same for this, why they didn't run kind of the same system. So I do think it's kind of weak that you can play with your buddy, yeah, but your buddy is basically just a overly intelligent NPC at that point, because, you know, he's able to gather money and like collectibles and shit like that, but he can't advance his own storyline. So any missions that you guys do together, he's going to have to turn around and do them all over again by himself, or you have to turn around and do them again with him and help him out like he did for you. So that, I think, is kind of annoying as far as the co-op aspect, which is the thing I was looking forward to the most. What do you think about that as far as a idea for co-op? Do you like that as far as like having to basically do each mission twice?
No, I think that's terrible. If you're playing with a friend, I would expect that, that the storyline would progress for everybody who's a part of that session. It just makes sense to do it that way. I'm not sure why they would do otherwise, unless it's just laziness. I would also have liked to have seen more than 2-player co-op, but I guess Far Cry has always been kind of 2-player co-op only sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree though. I would have liked to have been able to see it as a 4-man co-op like Wildlands. I do think that would have been even better. But so Locke, what about for you? What do you think about the the co-op only the party leader being able to progress their storyline while in co-op?
Yeah, that's
Or-
yeah, that's kind of just.
I don't know why I
Oh,
said
sorry,
Locke.
lost her?
Yeah, lost her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I was gonna say I just fucking asked you. Okay, Loster's not there. Fuck him. So yeah, I would have liked to have been able to see it as a 4-man team, which I was thinking about this last night. Thinking about what I wanted to go over on the podcast. This would solve 2 problems. Okay, run with me on this. So, storyline problem and the issue that there's only 2 people that you can have in co-op. Okay, I can solve them both very simply. So, storyline problem. All right, doesn't make any sense that U.S. Marshal basically gets abducted. Nobody comes to help him out. This and that. U.S. fucking government's not getting involved in this militia taking over this county. How do we solve that? Okay, and granted, this could very well be the case because I don't know, what goes on at the end of the game or anything like that. I'm not that far, obviously. But for a storyline, why not take us out of the intro or not have us actually play that character in the game? Have us play that character, that rookie deputy, in the prologue and have him get captured. But in the actual game, you don't play that person. You play as someone else. You were just seeing what happened through their eyes, right? So they send out a U.S. Marshal to serve this federal warrant. He gets captured, shit goes down. U.S. Marshals then send in a team of marshals to fucking get this guy. Find out what the hell's going on, where their marshal went, go pick up this fucking Joseph Seed guy and find our marshal that went missing. There goes your co-op problem. They send in a 4-man team of U.S. Marshals to find this fucking marshal that went missing and pick up this Joseph Seed, bring them both back. Okay, so now you can have 4-player co-op. Story-wise, why would they not get involved beyond 4 U.S. Marshals going in? Well, you could easily say, in the first mission, you go in and start asking around questions or whatever, get involved into the game for a minute, and when the Seeds, the family, find out that the U.S. Marshals have sent a team to find or to bring Joseph in and to find the marshal that went missing, they basically make a terrorist threat that if anybody else gets involved, they are going to release a chemical weapon in an undisclosed location. So now the U.S. government cordons the entirety of fucking Hope County or whatever the hell it's called. Nobody gets in or out. Now it would make sense that the entire county is on lockdown, not from the fucking cult, but the U.S. federal government is actually quarantining the entirety of the county because this family has access to this bliss shit, these drugs, and have said that they will release a chemical weapon somewhere in the U.S. if any other government agencies come within Hope County.
No,
There
that
you go.
sounds like, Brewer.
What's that?
Division. You
Some-
just explained the division.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
That's
that's
It's
what it
every
is.
Ubisoft
Yeah.
game. It's every Tom Clancy / Far Cry. That's it.
But it would make more sense than what they're doing. And
Yeah.
like I said, you could have 4-player co-op at that point. Like,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Did they ever fix a kind of a break from the point here, but did they ever fix the ballistics on like 50 cals and stuff where the bullet drop isn't
Yeah,
after?
it is
Oh, okay.
much better in this. I haven't actually fired the 50s yet, but I know, granted, it's still, the optics are still dog shit. Like, you can get a huge Leupold fucking, like, massive long-range optic, and it has, like, 4x magnification, which is super fucking annoying. Like, I don't understand why Ubisoft is a fan of doing that, because they did the exact same thing in Wildlands. Like, there's a challenge in the game to kill a target from, I think, beyond 300 meters. It's like, dude, I have a fucking SA-50 sniper rifle that holds the world record for killing a guy at just short of 3 fucking miles. How is it an achievement to hit someone at 300 meters? The ACR that you guys see me carrying right now is accurate at 500 fucking meters. Why is it an achievement to hit someone at 300? That is incredibly fucking annoying. But luckily the bullet drop isn't nearly as bad. I'm not firing a Remy 700 at 200 meters and watching the bullet drop 3.5 feet in that 200 meter distance.
That's really good to hear, because that was a big issue in Wildlands. I remember complaining about that quite a bit.
And Kikaju, I would agree with that. As far as a tech issue, they can't have stuff rendered in that far. I would agree with that if it wasn't for the fact that when I'm flying an airplane, I can look down and watch trucks as they're driving around, as I'm way the fuck up in the air, well beyond any range I'm ever engaging with a rifle. I can look down and see trucks driving around. I can see the guys sitting in the turrets in the back of the trucks. Like, it's, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me why they're not able to increase those ranges at least by a couple hundred fucking meters, man. Like I said, 300 meters isn't shit. Like, I should be able to put rounds on target at 500 meters pretty easily with any type of 4x optic or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, give me a challenge, right? Like 300 meters, whatever. Was there any issues also with what was in Wildlands, like not being able to shoot through railings or things that you should be able to
that's
shoot through?
still somewhat prevalent. Like, I was amazed that I was able to shoot through a canvas tent because so much other shit you can't shoot through. And I don't know if that's going to be, because there is armor piercing ammo, but I don't know. I don't think that actually does anything as far as like cover. I think that just does more damage to like vehicles, and you can shoot. It'll drop guys with body armor easier and shit like that. But I don't think it does anything as far as being able to engage guys through walls or shit like that.
Oh, I see. Vertigo was saying there in chat, wood walls are bulletproof.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's kind of annoying. I mean, I can understand the thought behind it somewhat, because even like Drum and the guys were talking about the other night when they were streaming or when they were playing PUBG, if you could shoot through the walls in PUBG, stuff like the saw would be insanely OP. And it would be the same here. If I were to fucking roll up on a building that had, like a shit house that had 2 or 3 guys in it, I could just sit out front with the saw and just pepper the entirety of the fucking building and kill all of them. So I guess there's kind of a give and take with it, but overall, the weapon handling and the ballistics and stuff, I'm fairly happy with. The guns feel decent. They sound really good. The saw is absolutely amazing. I finally got the saw, and it's OP as fuck. Very fun to use. Now, when it comes to the guns and weapons and stuff like that, the one big problem I do have is actually something that, Locke, I know you've seen on my stream, was there's these guys called VIPs, and they're basically drugged up on this bliss stuff, as I do a perfect fucking Misty flip on my ATV. So these VIPs are drugged up on this bliss stuff, and supposedly like it makes them stronger, like they don't feel pain and shit like that. It's basically like fucking PCP. And These guys always are like running around shirtless, a pair of pants, and that's like it. And they've got like a baseball bat, and they'll come beat the shit out of you. And they'll take a full fucking magazine from that ACR that you guys see me carrying, which is a basic fucking 5.56 rifle. I mean, it's basically an upgraded AR, or an upgraded M4. And they'll take an entire fucking magazine from this thing and still keep running at you. That I have a problem with. Like, that shit's annoying as fuck. At least give the guy body armor so it somewhat makes sense that he's taking, extra rounds or something like that. Make him all fucking built up in armor. Then it's a little bit more believable. But when I'm just pumping round after round into this dude's bare chest and watching blood fly all over the place and he's still running at me, that's annoying as fuck. Like, why does it do that? Just because he's on drugs. Like, no, I basically just cut this dude in half with my rifle. No, that's not how guns work, people.
But PCP or not, you can still drown in your own blood. You can still, if you take a bullet in the heart, your heart's still gonna stop.
Or if you sever the nerves, your body's just physically not going to be able to work anymore, no matter how
Right.
many drugs you're on. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what the hell? How many rounds does that naked dude take?
It's probably on PCP. It broke every hand in his body, wouldn't feel it for hours.
And yes, Crest, the Far Cry does have player tethering. You can't get too far away from your buddy when you're playing co-op, but you can get a decent distance from each other. It's not horrid, but it's not like Wildlands where you could be on complete opposite ends of the map from each other. But it's not too bad. I never found it to be an issue personally. But to go back to the weapons and shit, now, as I said, I unlocked the saw, and the saw does more damage than the ACR. The saw does more damage than the ACR. They're both 5.56. They're both the exact same bullet. There is no difference. How does the saw do more damage than the ACR? Better yet, how does the ACR-L have any differences aside from range from the ACR? They are both the exact same weapon system. The ACR-L just has a longer fucking barrel. It's the only difference between the two of them. That is it. But the ACR-L, I can put a long-range scope on. The ACR, I can't. It doesn't make any sense. Now, to go even further, okay, I can't remember what they call it in game. It's basically a Remington 700, the kind of bone stock basic sniper rifle. The Remy is a 7.62. Okay, tried and true, great round. The AK that is also in the game is 7.62. The AK assault rifle does more damage than the fucking M700 sniper rifle. How is that possible? How does the 7.62 AK-47 do one more point of damage than the M700? If anything, I could understand the M700 maybe doing more damage than the AK, saying that it's actually using Magnum rounds or something. But it doesn't. Why would the assault rifle do more damage? It's the same exact fucking bullet. That kind of shit annoys the fuck out of me. Where it's like, oh, well, this gun is further down the unlock list, and so we're going to need to do more damage, so guys want to get it. Like, no, fuck off. It's the same goddamn bullet. I hate that shit. Do you guys think I'm being a little too critical on that?
No, not at all. I think with people who play games like this, I mean, not everybody, but I know for myself, like, I just like playing with the weapons. The more realistic they are, the better it is for me. So I don't know. I don't really. I guess there's a middle ground where it's a game or whatever. But I would like to see the weapons be as realistic as possible.
Yeah, and it's. I would actually have to look, but I'm pretty sure the saw actually does more damage in game than the fucking M60 does. And again, it's like how the fuck is that even possible? The saw is 5.56, the M60 is 7.62. Like what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. And the AK round is smaller than the NATO 7.62 round. But whatever. Or the round that's being used for the M700. But all in all, the weapon play is good. It is fun, aside from, like I said, those guys that just take a ridiculous amount of rounds, with no body armor or anything, which I don't really give a shit now, because with the saw, I can mow them down in like a quick spurt from the saw. But the guns themselves feel really good. The bullet drop isn't insanely bad like what it is in Wildlands. Now, the next thing, well, I guess something that I forgot to mention at the start is anybody that's played Far Cry probably remembers the radio towers, right? You guys remember having to climb a fucking radio tower for every zone to unlock the map, I guess, so you can see what's actually there.
Yeah, that shit is like etched in my brain. I can't forget it because of the fucking times I had to do that.
Right. So in that prologue, they actually have you climb a radio tower, and the guy's talking to you on the radio, and he's like, "Now I know what you're thinking. I'm not gonna have you climbing radio towers all over the county." I laughed like a little bitch when he said that. I was like, "Thank you, Ubisoft, for at least having the balls to poke a little bit of fun at yourself. Like, this is a running fucking joke about your Far Cry games, and you make fun of it." I thought that was pretty cool of them to poke a little bit of fun at themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Because that shit was pretty crazy in the previous games. I'm glad you don't have to do it in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Now, there is still the camps that you need to clear out. Like, that's been a staple of Far Cry pretty much from the onset. To go out and clear these camps, clear them, and then, friendlies move in. I actually have a lot of fun doing those because I like sitting there and marking all of the targets and kind of mapping out and figuring out what their patrol paths are and seeing if I can do it undetected, because you also get $1,000 bonus if you do it undetected, which is nice. But I actually like that part. A lot of people I know have said that it's very repetitive, having to clear out these get different camps and stuff like that. Not necessarily in this game. I don't know if anybody's said that yet. I'm sure they have. But I know in previous games they have said that's very repetitive. But personally, I don't mind it because each camp is different. They're all laid out differently. They have different enemies, different approach angles. Every single one is different. And coming from, ArmA, where, somebody will say, well, how can you do this for years when it's just assault, defend, or, raid? Because it's different every time. And that's what this is. Each one of these camps is different. Did you guys ever have a problem with that, with the other ones? Did they feel repetitive as far as like clearing out the camps and shit like that?
Loster, you want this one?
With 3, I didn't play much of 4, so I can't speak to what 4 felt like, and I didn't play, was it Primal? So with 3, I didn't mind. Like it was repetitive, yes, but I don't mind doing that. I'm the kind of guy who was like, I played Assassin's Creed 1, and I'm like, yeah, this is okay. I didn't mind the 67,000 sit on a bench and listen to conversation missions. Like I don't mind that. If it's new to me and I'm just trying to get through the story, it doesn't quite really get under my skin.
I didn't mind clearing out compounds or anything like that because it's kind of part of the game. It's a lot of gunplay and you get to put to use some of the shit that you buy or whatever, right? So that's okay. I don't know in this game if you have to run around the map and collect 100 useful attachments and do busy work or anything like that. That was my biggest concern about this game, was it was just going to have a bunch of menial shit to do all over the map.
There is, like, there's a bunch of side shit that you can do, which is horrible for me because I'm one of those easily distracted people where I'll end up doing all of it. Like the first zone I went to, I'm now 100% done with it. I've done every single side mission, every single fucking go fetch this bullshit, and I can definitely see that becoming repetitive to some people. Like if they fucking, because there's like these survivor caches that you can go discover and get a bunch of useful shit out of actually. And then all the side missions and shit like that, I could see that getting repetitive for people. Me personally, I love that shit. I love the amount of side quests and stuff. The first zone has like 54 quests that you can do, or 52, something like that. And that's just one of 3 zones. So I love that because I like all the extra shit to do. Some people that kind of want to do, kind of have a completionist attitude, but they might find it repetitive in that sense that it's like, oh Jesus Christ, I got another cache to go find, or I got another fucking person to go save from a bull or some stupid shit.
No, it wasn't really like that for me. What it was is particularly in Wildlands, was that you were like this team of operatives, your ghost team. You'd go in and he'd be like, I got an attachment here, and he'd find some like bullshit that he should have anyway, and he's so happy and proud to have gotten it. He's like, I'm gonna put this to good use. It's just like,
that is annoying, and that it's not quite the same. You have to buy your attachments, which is, I guess it makes sense somewhat that you wouldn't have all this shit for these weapons. But what doesn't make sense is that I have to buy a different optic for every rifle. Like I can't say, okay, I own an RCO for the ACRL. I want to take that RCO off the ACRL and put it on the ACR. You can't. Even though it's the exact same fucking weapon system, you can't, swap parts for it. Which that I found annoying. I don't mind having to buy the stuff, but let me swap parts around here and there, because if I'm a fucking sheriff's deputy, I know how to range a sight for a fucking rifle. So I should be able to take that RCO off my 5.56 ACR and put it on a fucking M60 and be able to zero it. Like I should be that competent. But you can't. So that's kind of annoying. But you don't have to go find the attachments. You can just buy them right off the onset. And they're not locked behind like skill points or anything like that. Like everything's there. You just have to pay money for it.
Yeah. How are the animals in the game? Like, are they quite a threat when you're running around doing stuff like the bears?
Oh, yeah. Bears will fuck you up. Cougars will fuck you up. Eagles are annoying as shit, as always, in any goddamn Far Cry game. But yeah, that I do like that though. Like just be randomly running through the woods and hey, there's a fucking bear over there and he's about to charge your ass. It scared the shit out of me a couple of times. Wolverines are fucking assholes. Okay, those little fucking bastards, like their teeth with some fur on them. They'll just run around, and they're super small, so they'll be running around in the tall grass, and you can't see them, and then next thing you know, like, they're biting your nutsack, and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's one of the things I loved about GTA 2 was, just the animals, and when I played Far Cry 3, that was another thing, too. It was a big part of the game, was the animals. Just seeing all the different kinds, and they were really animated well, too. They were modeled well, and they were animated well, and I'm assuming that's the case with Far Cry 5 as well.
Yeah, the animals are definitely done very well. They, I like the way that they act. Like they're very aggressive towards you if you get close to them, and they'll charge you and attack you. And then if you hit them a couple of times with your weapon and do some damage to them, they'll run away, like they're hurt, and they'll fucking run off. Which I think is very cool. Like they don't just sit there and keep trying to fight you. If they get hurt, they'll run away from you.
There's a bit. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, which can actually be kind of annoying when, you've got a weapon that doesn't do a lot of damage and you put 5 or 6 rounds into a cougar and then he takes off running. It's like, wait, I wanted your skin. Come back, motherfucker.
there's I was watching Eli play it a couple days ago, and he walks up to a turkey, and a turkey like gets
Oh,
aggressive
turkeys are
on him.
assholes.
The turkey gets aggressive on him and starts like like it's gonna charge at him. Fucking Eli like blasts him and kills him. He's like, "The fuck are you gonna do? You're a fucking turkey." And then he skins him and rips his feathers off.
But yeah, the animals are very good. They did add fishing into this Far Cry, and I know that immediately sounds stupid. Like, why the fuck would they add fishing?
Nah. There's fishing in World of Warcraft. I love it.
Yeah, I gotta
It's
say, anything that
actually-
has
It's
Go ahead.
really cool, dude. Like, I genuinely enjoy the fishing. Me and Yogi sat there this morning for, probably 15 minutes while he was trying to learn how to fish. I think he caught one. And I was just sitting there fishing, like catching one after another, because now I have like this super badass rod and reel because I did this challenge to catch this big ass fish. But anyways, like, it's genuinely enjoyable. Like, you cast your line out there, you start reeling it in, they bite, you have to hook them, and then you have to actually fight the fish. Like, you have to reel in with the right mouse button and pull the rod the opposite direction of the way the fish is going, to put resistance on the line and tire them out. But if you hold it for too long, the line will snap. So you got to let off every so often, and then, continue fighting them and wait for the fish to get tired, and then, you can reel them in. And it's, in terms of like video game fishing, it's the best I've seen yet.
I'm glad to hear that they actually put some thought into the fishing where it's not, just some quick addition to the game, because I love fishing in any game. I will probably sit there for hours just trying to catch bigger fish.
Yeah, and it's cool because you can turn around and you can sell the fish for money. And like you can hold up to 10 fish of each type. So like I said, I sat there for like 15 minutes yesterday, and I caught more than 10 and wasn't paying attention. But I was standing right next to the guy that you sell shit to. So like I can sit there and catch 10 fish, turn to my right 90 degrees, sell it to the guy, make a cool $1,000, and then turn back to my left 90 degrees and catch 10 more fish. Like, it's pretty cool. It's a quick way to make money. So the fishing's good. The animals themselves are good. The AI companions that you can get, personally, I think they're pretty fucking retarded, which is why I don't use any of them. Like, any of you guys that watch the stream and stuff, notice I always immediately, tell them to go away. I don't like the way the AI reacts. They'll get into combat and just do stupid shit, just typical AI stuff. So I don't bother messing with them. The pilot isn't too bad, I guess. Like, he just kind of stays out of the way because he's up in the air, so he doesn't really get spotted or shit like that. So I don't really mind him too much, I guess. But speaking of planes, to go on to that, with the vehicles and stuff, cars aren't too bad. Helicopters, absolutely amazing to fly. Helicopters, best way to get around the map, hands down. Great to fly, very intuitive controls, very easy to control. Airplanes on a keyboard, total pain in the dick. Not fun at all. Yogi said it's a lot better on controller. I personally haven't tried it on controller yet, but on a keyboard, planes are damn near unflyable. Helicopters, great. Now, the enemy also has airplanes, and those of you guys that seen this part of the stream probably know what I'm about to talk about. So there's this town that you end up liberating, and in the town there's 2 buildings that have mounted 50 cals up on top. And at one point, like, as you get further along into the storyline, they send out basically air patrols to find and fucking kill you. And they're basically like P-40 Warhawks up in the air flying around that will strafe you and hit you with bombs and shit like that. So one of these is around this town, and I climb up on the roof to this mounted 50 cal to engage them. And I had already taken down a couple planes at that point, or maybe one or something like that. But I start engaging him, and he's flying in on me to do a strafing run on the rooftop that I'm on, right? So we're like having a fucking game of chicken and seeing who can shoot the other one first. And I end up sniping this motherfucker out of the cockpit with the 50 cal, right? So great. I killed the pilot. The plane's gonna crash. He can't hurt me anymore. Of course, of this whole massive fucking map where this plane could crash land after I sniped the pilot out of it, it goes straight into my fucking face. No pilot, no nothing. The plane just kamikazes itself into my fucking face and kills me.
Is that coming up anytime soon on this video?
No, it was, I think, much later on. But somebody, I know someone,
clip of it.
Yeah, someone had clipped it.
Let me see.
But yeah, that was,
There it is.
that was so fucking stupid. Like, just, of all the shit luck to have, like, I was all, it's cool that I was able to snipe the fucking pilot out of the cockpit, like put a round right through the canopy, killed the pilot, and then it just fucking kamikazes into my nutsack. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? It just the shittiest luck on the planet. But you know, that was gonna, I guess, probably be the funniest point of the stream. But the AI itself is what I want to talk about now. Is the AI is, aside from, you know, their laser beam accuracy at times, they are fairly smart. And the Far Cry AI has always been known for being pretty smart as far as like flanking you, moving to your last known position, reacting to what you're doing and stuff. They've been known for doing that for quite some time, which is pretty cool. And they continue to do the same here. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a huge upgrade from like Far Cry 3, which is the last one I played. Or actually, I did play Far Cry 4 a little bit, but it's not like a huge difference or anything like that. It's pretty much the same. But the AI is still pretty impressive as far as their ability to react to you, which is nice. It does make it a genuine challenge sometimes to be able to engage these guys, especially to remain undetected sometimes and take out these camps. It is difficult with how the AI reacts and moves to your last known location and will like search around for you and shit. It's pretty cool. Oh yeah, and that, as you guys can see on the stream there, when that guy Aloha snack barred me, he was getting ready to throw a grenade, and I peppered his fucking back and went running up there, and I didn't realize that he had the fucking grenade. So of course I killed him, but the grenade still dropped right there and damn near fucking killed me.
So I'm curious about, you don't use a controller, do you, Brewer, when you play? Like, you use mouse and keyboard, right?
Yeah, when I'm doing this stuff, yeah, I always use mouse and keyboard. I can't aim with a controller.
Yeah, and I was talking to my friend about that the other day, and I feel like I'm about to open a can of worms here, because I know a lot of people like to use a controller, but like in chat, do you guys find that you can still get on target and engage enemies in first-person shooters and games like this using a controller? Because it was a debate that me and my friend had, and he'd been, playing consoles for years and years, and I stopped like a long time ago. So I'm kind of like, PC Master Race, mouse and keyboard is way better kind of thing. Well, just curious about opinions on that.
I mean, I know for myself, because, of course I did play console, and I mean, as some of you know, like I played Halo competitively for quite some time. Yes, there are guys that are incredibly good with a controller, but they are not going to match a mouse and keyboard. It's just simple facts, really. I mean, there's a reason that, in games like PUBG, where they're talking about wanting to do cross-platform and stuff like that, they're saying, we're going to have to, use some type of aim assist for controllers and stuff like that. You can't be as accurate with a controller as what you can with a mouse, because you don't have the fine movements that you can make with a mouse with a controller. Even with, the also uber cool scuff pads and shit like that, it's not a mouse that you're moving in very tiny increments like what you can with a mouse. So I mean, I don't really understand where the debate is there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because he was like, people have been playing with mouse or controller forever. They're really good with it. I'm like, that's because they have aim assist. You put up against like a guy with a controller versus a mouse and keyboard. I guarantee you the guy with the mouse and keyboard is going to wipe the floor with the other dude.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's
kind of a no-brainer, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how long the guy's been playing with a controller. Yes, he's very good for someone with a controller, but you take someone with an equal amount of time playing with a mouse and keyboard, they're going to be better. They're going to be more accurate if there's no aim assist involved. Yes, and Halo has aim assist. So it's, yeah, I don't know. There's probably guys with a controller that are better than me with a mouse and keyboard. I'm absolutely sure there would be. Even without aim assist, there's probably guys, or I'm sure there's guys with a controller that are more accurate than me with a mouse and keyboard. But, again, you take someone at the same skill level, it's going to be a different story.
Yeah, that's true. I was just curious as to, like, if, how many people actually did play with a controller, because I was pretty sure that, if they're playing a game on PC for, a shooter, that they're going to be using mouse and keyboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, the controller is more so ease of life, like for driving vehicles and stuff. Like GTA 5 is the best example of it. If I'm on foot in GTA, I'm using my mouse and keyboard. If I'm driving a vehicle, then I'll pick up my controller, which is actually something that I commend Rockstar for doing, that you can go back and forth seamlessly. Like, I can be sitting here running around with my controller, press Foxtrot, get in a car, and pick up my controller off my lap and start driving the car with my controller. I don't have to, switch controls or, restart the game or any stupid shit like that. You can go back and forth with no issues whatsoever, which is really, really nice. I don't know if Far Cry does the same thing because, again, I've only played it with the mouse and keyboard. Somebody else may know. But, yeah, that's really nice with GTA. So I guess last thing I want to get into here with Far Cry, I know we've been going on it for a while now. My overall, not necessarily rating from it, I don't want to try and sound like fucking Angry Joe or some shit. But my overall thought on it is, I've been asked multiple times, is it worth it? In my opinion, absolutely. I have already gotten my $60 worth of enjoyment out of it. 100%, in my opinion, it is worth playing. Is it the most realistic game in the world? Absolutely not. Is it, the funnest game I've ever played? Absolutely not. Has it already provided me with hours of mindless entertainment as I run over a cow and pull another Loster? Absolutely.
Cow.
Yeah, I think at this point, anytime that anything gets run over is just going to be referred to as pulling a Loster.
Great. Or someone gets lost.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But yes, as McCoy says, that is the golden question. Is it worth $60? Absolutely. It is, in my opinion, totally worth the $60. And the thing that surprised me the most is, even without the aspect that I was looking forward to the most, which is co-op, even if it did not have co-op, I would still say it's worth $60. Now, granted, as I said, if it didn't have co-op, I would have never bought it in the first place because I disliked Far Cry 4 so much. I didn't give a shit. Maybe I would have picked it up a few years down the road when it was on sale or something, but I wouldn't have bought it. I'm glad I did. Because again, it's definitely worth that $60 in my opinion. Even if it didn't have co-op, just the single player portion of it alone is easily fun enough for me to justify spending $60 on it. So I would say, personally, any of you guys that are kind of on the fence about it, don't know whether you should grab it or not, if you've got the extra scratch laying around, I say pick it up. Play through the prologue and see what you think of it. If you don't enjoy it, do a fucking refund on it, so be it. But play through the prologue and maybe the first opening mission in the next zone, which shouldn't take you, more than 2 hours or whatever, and see if you enjoy it. I personally recommend it. What do you guys think? Are either of you thinking about picking it up at this point?
Well, yeah. Because everyone else is playing it.
Right.
co-op.
Consider.
And,
So go ahead.
no, that's about it. Just co-op, and it. I mean, I'd like to think, bro, that with the exception of maybe like the racing genre, you and I have a lot in common when it comes to what we like to do in video games.
Well, yeah, that's
And
that's simply because I can drive a car and you can't.
yeah,
Yeah,
neither here
I'm
nor there.
considering it a lot more now. It's not 60 for me. It'll be like $80 Canadian, so it's significantly more. So I'm gonna think about it. And I know you haven't beat it yet, Brewer, but has anybody read how many hours you can get out of it? Like in terms of just if you just go through the storyline, is about 30 hours, something like that.
Oh
Anyone
no,
know?
it'd be well. Just as far as the main storyline, yeah, maybe. I'm not real sure.
But if you do everything, it's probably a hell of a lot more than that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't. I already have 23 hours in. I didn't play all of that. I also had, some other people checking it out and shit. But yeah, I already have 23 hours in. Now, like I said, that's also, doing like every fucking side quest in the first zone. Like everything I could possibly do, I did in that first zone. And also, dicking around for a couple hours this morning with Yogi, doing some stuff with him in co-op. So I wasn't, gaining anything storyline wise. Yeah, if I have, 23 hours in, well, not counting the few hours the other night when I may or may not have left it running, walked away, and then ended up falling asleep for like 6 hours. But yeah, I think there's definitely enough gameplay there to justify the 60. Or
According
80
to,
for you, because Canadian dollars suck.
According to GameSpot, if you just like push through it, do all the main objectives, do all the main quests, don't get sidetracked, about 25 hours.
Okay, so that's not bad. As far as like just the main story, 25 hours. Like that's actually,
Yeah.
in today's world, like that's actually quite a bit of fucking gameplay, especially when you consider, things like Call of Duty's fucking 4-hour campaigns, or, even Titanfall 2 had a very short campaign. I think Doom was actually pretty long. I'm trying to think of like other games that were
Yeah, Doom was long.
single player, kind of
Doom
story
was like
driven.
10, wasn't it, Luster? Doom was like 10 or 12.
Yeah, it was about that. It was decent length.
It's not for a Doom game, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for 25 hours, that's just straight up doing and that's not even including all the, all the world that it provides for you, right?
Yeah.
Digging around and whatever
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, that's just straight story mission.
I have one more question. I don't know if it was addressed, bro, just before we wrap it up for Far Cry. How about, Ubisoft is famous for this. How about bugs, glitches, problems, technical problems?
Personally, the only thing I've encountered so far, bug wise, I had one weird like mission failure that didn't make any sense to me, but whatever. The only, I guess, bug I've encountered was what I was talking about earlier when me and Yogi were playing co-op, because he was the group leader, so he had to be the one to fast travel. When we would fast travel, it would kick me out of the game and cause me to go back to the main menu, which was weird because me and Shank had been playing last night and didn't have any problems with the fast travel. So I don't know. That's the only thing I've encountered bug-wise. There is also the annoying fact that if you're near a zip line and you click on your right mouse button to aim down sight, it'll make your guy take the fucking zip line instead of, because the normal key by default is to hit space to take a zip line. I don't understand Ubisoft's fucking thought process there of, oh, he clicked the right mouse button, aimed down a sight. That must mean he wants to fucking go full on Tomb Raider and slide down the zip line and shoot somebody with 45. Like, no, fuck off. I just wanted to shoot the guy that's down on the ground and, be more accurate with my shots. I didn't want to fucking go ziplining at him at 50 mile an hour. You fucking idiots. But yeah, that's the only bug per se I've come across. I don't know if any of you guys in chat that have been playing, if you've come across any, definitely say something in chat. But the only thing I've had is that weird fast travel issue. So
Which issue is that?
where the I was saying the fucking Yogi was the party leader, and he fast traveled, and it kicked me out to the main menu every time, so we couldn't fast travel anywhere, which was
right.
kind of annoying. But it's not so bad once you're kind of later on into the game, and you can get to a point where you can spawn in a helicopter. So we just spawned in a helicopter and pretty much flew everywhere. We were saying there's some interesting ragdolling and AI partners getting stuck. Yeah, see, I wouldn't experience that stuff because I always turn the AI partners off. So that's why I haven't experienced that, because I don't give a shit. Yeah, the amount of rounds it takes to kill with some weapons is very annoying. I don't think it's a bug, but I do think it's something that they need to rectify. I shouldn't have to put fucking 3 rounds from a fucking 7.62 bolt action sniper rifle into a guy to drop him. No. Especially not when he's only like 100 meters away. You hit someone with a 7.62 at 100 meters with that fucking M700, you basically just fucking... When that round impacts, the kinetic force of that round actually expands their chest cavity beyond the actual size of their cavity. Like, that's why their chest cavity basically explodes, because there's so much kinetic force hitting it that it pushes the flesh outwards. And that's why, like, someone gets hit with a round like that, their back explodes because there's so much force. But whatever. So again, final thought as far as Far Cry 5 goes: worth the money. If you were on the fence, I recommend picking it up. If you pick it up and don't like it, don't blame me. Fuck off. So last thing I want to talk about here, even though we're getting pretty tight on time, is some of you may have seen Drum's stream. I personally didn't stream it, but we did some testing Monday night for the GTA stuff.
Sure did.
What did you guys think of it?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's really coming along. It's going to be really good when it's finished. Still got, quite a few things to iron out, but it's playable. Like, you can go on there and just role play and do whatever right now, and you just have to use your imagination a bit more with the things that aren't quite in there.
Right. Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised with how far along it already was. And I don't know if Sphero is hanging out in chat or not. I haven't gotten a chance to glance over and see if he said anything.
He said hi when we first started, but I don't know if he's still here.
Oh, okay. Anybody that doesn't... Oh, there he is. There he is. So yeah, that guy, Spherosaurus, is doing the work on our GTA stuff. He has already gone above and beyond what I was expecting. Like I said, I was very pleasantly surprised with the progress of it. He contacted me and said, "Hey, I want to do some testing Monday." Sure, going into it, like, I was expecting it to be pretty broken, because like he was downplaying it like a motherfucker, talking about how slow the progress was going and this and that. So I expected it to hardly work. Like, if we can get connected to the server, I'll be happy. And it was much better than that. I mean, the police vehicles are there. They, it's basically nothing is broken. Just everything needs minor tweaks here and there. And I say minor. I'm sure it's a ton of fucking work. And Spiro's probably like, "Fuck you. That's going to be like 30 hours for me to fix these 5 things." But it, in terms of, like, from the player standpoint, it's very minor things that need to be tweaked on. And it's good to go. Like Locke said, it's already pretty much at that point where you could damn near pull it off now. Like, you just have to use your imagination a little bit more. But it is, in my eyes, already very close to being good. Like, we were in there for
long time,
quite a few hours. Like, that's because Aaron messaged me before that. And was like, "Hey, if I get home in time, I'll hop in there with you guys." And Munson had said the same thing. If he got done with training in time, he'd hop in with us. And I was like, "Well, we're probably only going to be in there, for like an hour or something. We're just, testing the basic shit, letting, Sphero know what works and what doesn't work, and then that's it. And we ended up being in there for like 3-4 fucking hours, right? Just fucking running around, testing everything, dicking around. It kind of turned into a shit show for a little while, but we tested a good portion of everything, seeing what worked and what didn't. And on top of that, actually had a lot of fun. Towards the end, we were just kind of dicking around. We weren't really testing anymore. But we were having quite a bit of fun just chasing each other around in the cop cars and shit.
Well, that's kind of what happened. We went in there, wanting to test, and then we were just having fun. So we actually kind of even started role playing for different parts of it, and got into it when we're supposed to be testing. So I think that's a good sign that you can just jump into it and kind of have fun, even if it's not done.
Right.
Around
That's
the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a testament to, how well Sphero has already put the shit together. When we're like, yeah, it's already fun as fuck, and like we could pretty much start role playing with it already. I blame Drum for the shit show. I don't know what the fuck he took that night. Like when he first hopped in there, like that is the most hyper I have ever heard Drum in my entire life.
I've known Drum for 5 years. I've known Drum since 2013. I've never, ever heard him fucking just get just super high. Like never in my life.
No, that's why I asked him. Like, did you fucking do coke before you got in here or something? Like, I've never heard him like that. I was like, what the? It
was like a kid on Christmas, man. He was having a good
time. Which I was actually amazed he wasn't doing what I was doing, which was basically just tasing everyone every single chance I got. I would lock my car, just sit inside of it, and tase everyone as they were around my car, and just continue tasing them so they couldn't get up, which was incredibly entertaining for me, probably annoying as fuck for them. But I thought it was funny. We've already talked at quite a bit of length as far as the GTA stuff and how we want it structured and stuff like that, and kind of how it's going to be ran, and it'll be a lot like the 506 and stuff like that, just with different uniforms basically. But from the little testing session that we had, I already know the answer from Loster on this, but after doing the testing, are you guys more excited for it? Are you, can you, I guess, see the end of the tunnel at this point, saying, yeah, I'm really ready to get this going now?
I'm absolutely ready. I'd like an opportunity to sit down with Sphero to do some balancing on some of the civilian side things when the time comes. As far as like how the jobs are going to pay out, how that's all going to work. I'd like to test like every single job, see how much it pays, see what you have to do, all that stuff. That's all stuff that will get ironed out over time. But as is, if we open this up to just 506 members, I think that people can contain themselves well enough to actually like just RP what needs to be RP'd and have fun.
Yeah, I would agree.
And same here. Like I'm looking forward to it too. It's I forgot how well GTA 5 runs when it's on on the official servers. Like it ran super smooth.
And that wasn't even on an actual server. That was just being hosted off of Sphero's machine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's going to fill up pretty quick once we're ready to go, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's I'm definitely excited for it. Like I said, we've talked at great lengths about what we want to do and different stuff like that, but especially after testing, it makes me that much more hyped for it and just want to get it going. And I guess the question I have on it is, obviously there's already a lot of guys in the unit in the 506 that have GTA 5. And I know Hammer actually just bought it to be able to do this shit with us, which this is his third time buying GTA 5. And he's actually been playing on the RP server that you play on, right, Loster?
Yeah, he was playing. He actually. Okay, I'll make this story very short. But I was up in the channel that I normally hang out in, by myself when I connect. It's the channel that I join by default. I was sitting there for a few minutes, and I hear Buddy join your channel, and I hear Hammer's voice like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey," and he's never done that ever. He's never come to me. You three, you Drum and Hammer are up here in your fucking ivory tower. You have your offices. You don't come down to the peons. You don't come down to the peasants. So when he came to me, I was like,
The
"Oh,
channel
fuck,
you
am I in
connect to by
trouble?"
default is above our channels, jackass.
Yeah, but he has no reason to be in there. He's got his own office. But when he joined, I'm like, the first thing I asked was, "Am I in trouble?" He's like, no. What the fuck are you talking about? No, I just want to hang out with Jesus. And then he specifically joined because he wanted to play GTA. So I got him on the server. I got him acclimated. I bought him a car. I bought him a gun license and a gun, and started doing stuff. And he had a lot of fun. Hammer, I didn't realize how quickly Hammer would just.
Oh, he's hooked like a
latch onto that.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Spiro says, he is definitely addicted. I know because that night he messaged me on Steam and was like, dude, these guys are fucking retarded. I just talked my way out of a murder and Grand Theft Auto. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It has begun.
It was me and Hammer were hanging out in Legion Square, and this dude rolls up on a motorcycle, and he walked away and left his motorcycle unattended. I'm like, Hammer, get on. So he gets on with me, and we fucking zoom away, and I'm like, I started feeling guilty. I'm like, I don't want to. Let's just give it back to him. And so we drive back to give it back to him, and he pulls a knife on me and stabs me. So Hammer shoots him. The cops show up, and Hammer explains the whole situation away. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty of Grand Theft Auto. I'm guilty of attempted murder. I'm guilty of trying to shoot that guy. I'm guilty of stealing his bike. And Hammer talked the police out of all of it. I wasn't arrested. Nobody was charged or nothing. It was great.
Oh, that's fucking. Oh my god. Yeah. So it's. Yeah, I think Hammer's well addicted. I can't wait for that. Like, I can't wait for the day that like me and Hammer are both like on the police side of things, and we're just like rolling around as partners in a PD car, bullshitting. That I promise you guys will be fucking entertaining. And I also know that Williams is going to get in on some of it with us. So that's going to be fun as well. If we can somehow get me, Williams, and Hammer in a car together, that'll be fun to stream.
SWAT van.
Yeah, that'll be a good time because that'll be some old school 1-2 just busting each other's balls the entire time.
And Hammond.
Yeah, I don't know if Hammond's going to play with us or not. He hasn't said whether or not he's going to get in on it with us. I hope he does. He was in there, in the server with us the other night. I hope him and Heckman do. I would fucking love for Hammond and Heckman to come play some GTA with us. I think it'd be a great time.
He just shot that fence, lock off the fence. The fence just
it's like
got eviscerated.
Yeah, it's the most powerful 1911 on the planet. Except for when you shoot people with it. But that was another one of my problems, was that, like, you can shoot guys twice with the fucking 1911 and drop some of them, but you'll have to shoot them, like, 4 or 5 times with the fucking ACR. And it's like, what? Whatever. So, yeah, that's, as far as the GTA stuff, that's where we're currently at with it, guys. We did our first kind of round of testing with it. All of us very, very happy with it, with the exception of Spiro, because, he still has to do more work. But we're all very happy with it, very excited for it, obviously. But, it's still, nothing's, starting yet per se. But the ball is rolling on it. It is going to happen. It's not just going to fucking burn away and die. This is going to happen. So we definitely have that to look forward to.
Yeah, there's got to be a couple of, like, not fun sessions of us just testing shit like over and over again, like just testing everything and seeing what works, what doesn't work, what pays, what does what does this, and just doing all of that. That's going to happen at least a couple of times, I think. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's, like I said, that's where we're at with the GTA stuff. Very excited for it, and Hopefully within the next, month or two, you guys will, be able to start seeing some of that. If we do another testing session, I may stream it just so you guys can kind of see where we're at on it. It's not going to be probably not going to be a entertaining stream per se, but just to kind of show you guys where we are on it and what kind of stuff we have and so on. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for us tonight, guys. Running a little bit late, but that's fine. So before we go, just to kind of recap, I guess, GTA 5, if you're on GTA 5, Far Cry 5, if you're on the fence, go fucking buy it. Worth the money. GTA 5 stuff, testing has gone well. Hopefully soon, you're going to be, well, soon-ish, you're going to be seeing it on the channel. But that is going to be it for tonight. Locke, are we still on for next week for the special thing?
Yep. I'm having a hell of a time.
I know, dude,
pick
it's rough.
5 songs, but
well, the reason I ask is, so to tell you guys now, next week's podcast is going to be special. As a lot of you guys know, music, huge part of my life. Not just, listening to it. I've been involved in and around music pretty much my entire life. I've produced music, actually mixed music and stuff like that. So it's a big part of my life. And so most of you guys don't know, Loster knows very well because he's been there. Locke and myself oftentimes will find ourselves hanging out in TeamSpeak for hours on end, talking about music and, listening to music together, linking different songs and stuff like that. Like, oh, hey, check these guys out. Have you heard of these guys? This and that. We do that fairly regularly.
At least weekly, like weekly.
Yeah, pretty much. And we discover a lot of new music because of that. Locke will say, hey, check these guys out. And, I'll say, oh, yeah, I like these guys. Check this one out. It's a lot like them or, whatever. So I had the idea of, well, let's do a podcast that is centered around music. Which, firstly, is an issue because, as you guys know, music is copyrighted. So it's going to be an issue with the YouTube video, which means it's not going to be monetized, which I don't give a shit about because I don't make money off the YouTube videos. What I am worried about is if any of the music we play, if they do a copyright strike, then you may not be able to watch the video, which would be a problem for any of you that want to go back and watch it, or anybody that's a Patreon supporter. I mean, that's why you guys support me on Patreon, is for that podcast or this podcast. So that may be an issue, just to forewarn you guys. And, as far as watching the video on Twitch, Twitch is going to mute it because of the music. So just to forewarn you guys, there's a good chance that if you don't catch it live, you're not going to be able to watch it. So just keep that in mind. But what we're going to do is this. That podcast, even though it's not going to serve as a time capsule because you're probably not going to be able to watch it afterwards, but my idea was that podcast, if we were to basically make a time capsule, a musical time capsule, what songs would we choose? So what we're going to do is we each get 5 original songs that we get to play for the podcast and say, this is one of my 5 songs that if, the world were to fucking restart tomorrow, this is one of the songs I would want the new civilization to hear. So we get 5 original songs and 1 cover song. Now, the reason I picked 5 original songs and 1 cover is, there's the question of, who's your favorite band or what's your favorite song or whatever, which people say all the time, oh, that's an impossible question. It genuinely is, especially when you listen to an absolute fuck ton of music and all kinds of different bands and stuff like that. It's impossible to say, oh, this is my favorite, or this is my favorite song or this is my favorite band, whatever. So I said, all right, I'll give us 5. Even picking 5 is insanely difficult. And what makes it worse is the longer you think about it, the harder it is, because it's like, okay, well, I've got, these 5 are, oh shit, I forgot about this song. Okay, yeah, oh shit, which one do I swap out for that one? And like me and Locke were talking about the other night, I know this is going to happen where one of us is going to play a song and the other one's going to be like, oh fuck, I wish I would have picked that one.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's going to be next week's podcast. It's going to be all about music. You guys are going to be hearing a lot of songs, hopefully a lot of songs that you've never actually heard before. I would love to be able to introduce you guys to not just some new songs, but some new bands altogether. And I will maybe take a suggestion or two from the chat. We have to keep time in mind. I don't want to be sitting here for 4 hours listening to music. Well, actually, I wouldn't mind it, but still, I'm not going to stream 4 hours of us listening to music. But yeah, that's going to be next week's podcast. Again, 1800 normal time, but it is going to be a special podcast. We're not going to talk about anything else. Not going to talk about any gaming or, Task Force Alpha's operation. Nothing. It'll just be centered around music, and that is it. So hopefully, you guys will join us for that one. Hopefully you guys will like that. It's not something that is going to become like a regular thing or anything like that. This is just going to be one-off, very special podcast. Again, if you can't catch it live, there's a good chance you won't be able to, watch it on YouTube or Twitch or anything like that. So definitely recommend catching it live if you can. But that's going to be it for tonight. Loster, Locke, any last minute words for your droves of fans?
No. Just if there's anybody, I plugged this like 2 weeks ago. Just if there's anybody in the chat that's still on the fence, doesn't know about GTA RP, it's something that I'm kind of taking like pretty seriously now. More so than ArmA, I think. I stream it quite often. If you want to check out my channel, it's on Sanctifizzle in chat. If anyone wants to take a look, that's what I'm going to be doing. That's what I do most of the time.
Pimping yourself out on my shit.
Just saying.
Fucking lost.
I stream GTA more than you do, so
go watch Loster drive like a jackass.
Yeah, watch you run over cows.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing from me. Was a good podcast. Covered a lot of stuff today. That's it.
All right, excellent. But yeah, joking aside, as Loster said, if you guys don't really know what GTA 5 RP is, or you're curious about it or whatever, check out Loster's channel, because he does stream it damn near nightly at this point, right?
Almost every night. Nightly, or it was nightly, and now it's like every other night. I've moved apartments, so I haven't had the time lately, but right. Yeah, it's pretty much nightly.
So yeah, go check out Loster's channel and watch him stream it if you're interested in it. When we do get the GTA 5 RP stuff going, at first it is only going to be open to unit members, but we will open it up to whitelisting to the public later on. So if you're interested in it, don't really know what it is, how it works, stuff like that, check that out. But that's going to be it for the podcast tonight, guys. Thank you a ton for hanging out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We'll be back at it in a little bit with some World War II, and then probably some Far Cry after that. So you guys aren't quite done with me tonight. Yeah, that's it for tonight, and I will see you all later.